Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, we're going to be talking about MrBeast. Again. Yeah, again. So I made a video a few days ago where I kind of, in a way, predicted, I feel like, this kind of situation here. I'm not going to sit here and toot my own horn like I'm some sort of, I don't know, like Nostradamus-esque figure who can just predict things out of, just thin air or something, because that's not true. The reason that video was made is because, like clockwork, this kind of situation happens every single time MrBeast uploads one of these philanthropic videos. So a few days ago, MrBeast uploaded a video that I think most people would objectively say was a good thing, right? So MrBeast went to impoverished areas of Africa throughout like 5 different countries, right? And he built 100 water wells, essentially, that pumps fresh water out of the ground, which gave hundreds of thousands of people who did not previously have access to clean drinking water fresh access to clean drinking water. Not only this, but he went to a local school in Africa and he completely modernized it and gave them like new computers and new technology and books and whatnot so they can learn better. He went to this one village that was dependent on this like rickety old wooden bridge over this like rapid running river or whatever that floods during rainfall. And people were dying because they were getting swept away off this bridge that would just fall apart all the time, basically. And he went and built them an entirely new modern bridge that can survive the, climate issue that goes on there. So people don't literally fucking die trying to walk from their house to like the store or the hospital or whatever, right? So, I mean, like I said, I think most people would say that's pretty good. That's a pretty good thing to do. Hundreds of thousands of people now just got access to clean water. Lives will be saved from this catastrophe, and children now have a better chance at education and, growing into knowledgeable adults. I think that's a pretty good thing to do. Now, of course, there was controversy surrounding this entire thing. The thing is, I did not expect for the controversy to be so actually fucking stupid, but that's exactly what it was. So, like I said, every time MrBeast does anything philanthropic online, right, there's always people complaining about it. Oh, he's making money on his YouTube channel by being nice to other people, and he's profiting off of this. Whatever it may be, right? Whatever complaint. But the complaints in this one are particularly fucking ignorant. So this article is coming from, I believe, the original posters, according to what I'm reading, are CNN, okay? But this I'm seeing on Yahoo News, which is like a news aggregate or whatever, right? So American YouTuber MrBeast's latest video, in which he says he built 100 wells across Africa, has drawn a complex response online since it was published on Saturday. Some Kenyan activists and journalists said he has spotlighted the failures of the Kenyan government, while MrBeast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, anticipates that he'll be cancelled following the reaction. The new wells will provide clean drinking water for up to 500,000 people in Cameroon, Kenya, Somalia, Uganda, and Zimbabwe, Donaldson said, while accompanying fundraisers support local water aid organizations raised more than 300,000 by Monday morning. Donaldson's 10-minute video also showed him donating supplies to Kenyan schools such as new furniture, soccer balls, computers, whiteboards, and projectors, building a bridge across a river to safely connect a village with the local schools and hospital, and donating bikes to a village in Zimbabwe to help children get to school. So that's kind of like the full gist of everything that he did in that situation, right? Now, of course, like I said in my last video, people will always find a way online to get upset about something, right? It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, this guy has cured people's blindness with surgery. He's given fucking children drinking water and fresh schools to go to and new bridges. He's given away money, he's given away cars, he's given away houses, like anything you can think of, this guy's given it away, right, in some degree. But of course, like I said, people online, it doesn't matter what you do. It wouldn't matter if you were fucking God at the Golden Gates and you came down on an angelic harp down off the fucking clouds onto the ground and you started making, turning water to wine and creating bread from thin air. Somebody would find a way to fucking complain about that, okay? Somebody would find a way to be mad about that, because that's what miserable ass people do. They always find something to complain about. They always find something for them to cry about, especially when it's not them getting the attention. That's what it really comes down to. These people, they're not the famous people on YouTube. They're not getting rich off of YouTube. They're not getting to give all this cool shit back to all these people who actually need it. They're not being recognized as like fixing a problem. So to them, nobody can do it, right? If it's not them, nobody can do it. So anyway, Prominent activist Boniface Mwangi contrasted Donaldson's actions with those of the Kenyan government, saying that, quote, "We are a shameful, horrible country, a begging nation governed by millionaires," He added on X, formerly known as Twitter, quote, every 5 years, we give newly elected members of parliament and senators a 5 million car grant, which is 33,000 US dollars, fuel those cars every month, but we have no money to drill boreholes for our people. Similarly, freelance journalist Ferdinando Mondi lauded Donaldson's efforts, but said that, quote, it's embarrassing a YouTuber jetted into Kenya on a charity tour to perform tasks our taxes should have completed ages ago. CNN reached out to a Kenyan government spokesperson for comment, but had not received a response at the time of publication. Gee, I wonder why that is. So, I mean, I think some pretty fair points get made here by these guys, right? I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the same thing here in the US. You kind of hear the same argument, right? You hear people like here in the US, oh, well, we have homeless veterans and homeless people on the sidewalk, but we pay Congress $100,000 a year. And I mean, yeah, it's a fair point. Like, all these rich fucks in government who are not suffering the consequences of anything happening in like real society or in the real world sit around lavishly with no fucking problems in the world, you know, quote unquote governing all these people who don't have anything. And I mean, yeah, they can get $33,000 handed to them, but you know, they couldn't drill any new fucking wells or anything, man. You're telling me that a YouTuber from the US can just fly in and build 100 wells across 5 different countries, by the way, 100 different wells, and like none of these governments could build their own fucking wells or could like contribute to the project, maybe, you know, build more wells for more people. Pretty incredible how that whole thing works, right? It's pretty sad. And I mean, I think most people would agree, like, a YouTuber like MrBeast should not have to be doing this, right? If these governments in these places actually were doing their jobs, yeah, YouTubers wouldn't have to fly in and donate them water pumps and bridges and schools. Because that's what governments are supposed to be doing in the first place. Like, why the fuck is anyone in control doing everything if they're not doing anything? Like, Saron Kaba-Jones, founder and CEO of Face Africa, an organization working to improve water infrastructure and sanitation in sub-Saharan Africa, told CNN, quote, I've been doing this for 15 years, but we've been struggling to continue the work because funding, awareness, and advocacy all take work. And then she added, overnight, this person comes along who happens to be a white male figure with a huge platform, and all of a sudden he gets all the attention. It's kind of frustrating, but it's also understanding the nature of how the world is. She praised Donaldson for shining the spotlight on the need for clean water supply, but warned that the, quote, issue is sustainability. It's one thing to go in and install the well. It's another thing for us to go back to 3, 4, 5 years from now and see if that well is still functional. Kaba-Jones told CNN that Face Africa works in areas where, quote, 60% of wells are broken and people go back to drinking from the creek because there was no infrastructure put in place for follow-up, for maintenance, for repair, and said she hoped Donaldson's well-building effort included this infrastructure. You know, it's pretty incredible that somebody who's, like, been working on this for 15 years, right, is suddenly completely outshone by a YouTuber who was there for, like, 4 fucking days, filming content, right? But then at the same time, I'm supposed to view him as, like, the asshole or whatever, right? Oh, can you believe this white guy, man? Can you believe this white guy came into Africa and actually did more for all these African people than any of the African governments or like any of the fucking like the African presidents or anyone who runs any of these countries, right? Yeah, fuck that guy, man. Can you believe that a white guy with a big following, with a big platform would be able to do something like this? Like, as if the attention has anything to do with this guy being fucking white, you know? Like, I mean, like Akon, for example, right? I know a lot of you probably don't know who Akon is, right? Akon, for like the last 10 years, okay, has been talking about how he wants to build this city in Africa that's like completely self-sufficient and shit. And I've been seeing about this for fucking years. Truth be told, I don't know if the project's even happening or if it's in the works, what the deal is with that, but I've been hearing about it forever. He's been getting praised about it for fucking years, okay? Now, if you know anything about Akon, he and Jimmy here don't really look the same. But of course, you know, that's what you have to focus on. And that, I think, kind of really shows where these people's like actual priorities are, right? Like, there's African kids in these areas fucking dying because they don't have access to clean water, they don't have access to medicine or anything like that. Somebody finally comes along and actually addresses the issue, and the first thing this person wants to point out and worry about is the color of their fucking skin. Maybe that's got something to do here with why a lot of this fucking problem continues to be a problem. Now, in the video, MrBeast also pointed out that the wells they built were supposedly going to be able to pump water pretty much infinitely for 30 plus years. And now she's on this whole tirade about how, oh, well, within 3 to 4 years, here we are rebuilding all this shit. I don't know. Well, if that's the case, then how about you work with the people in these countries who are supposed to be building the infrastructure, and then you can talk about that, okay? But until then, let's shut the fuck up and take what we're getting here, because frankly put, MrBeast didn't have to fly over here and build these wells. He could have took his happy ass right home with that whole big wad of money, and he could have fucking thrown it at strippers for the next 3 weeks if he wanted to. But instead, he did something good with it. And instead of focusing on the good that he did and the fact that hundreds of thousands of people got access to clean water and got, new school, new bridge, whatnot, we're talking about the race of the guy who flew in on the plane. We're not apparently blaming the governments that have been in place for, in some cases, decades, that can't even do as little as build infrastructure to get people clean water, which is pretty much like the principal foundation of life anywhere on the planet. But yeah, you're right. I should be worried that a YouTuber came in, a white guy came in and did all this for you, right? While much of the reaction to Donaldson's video seemed to focus on how it shamed the Kenyan government, its creator anticipated a backlash, saying on X that he, quote, knows he's going to get canceled because he uploaded a video helping people, and to be 100% clear, he doesn't care. Aspiring Kenyan politician Francis Gaito, criticized Donaldson's video, saying on X that it perpetuated the stereotype that Africa is, quote, dependent on handouts and philanthropic intervention, though Gaito's comments attracted criticism of their own. Donaldson is the most popular individual creator on YouTube with more than 200 million subs. He's become known for philanthropy, posting videos in which he sponsored 1,000 blind people's cataract surgery and bought prosthetic limbs for 2,000 amputees, okay? So, this guy, who's apparently an aspiring politician in an African country, says we shouldn't be perpetuating the, quote, stereotype that Africa is dependent on handouts and philanthropic intervention, okay? So I went ahead and I did a pretty basic little Google search, right? Because, I mean, I'm an American, right? And here in America, there's billboards everywhere, there's fucking TV commercials, everything about, oh, you donate some money to the kids in Africa, donate some money to help feed kids in Africa, right? Like, it's literally fucking everywhere, okay? So I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird that he would say that that's a stereotype and that this isn't just fucking reality. So I, once again, did a Google search. Africa, within the past 30 years, has received upwards of 1.2 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars in international aid, donations, things like that, right? $1.2 trillion. In fact, in just 2021 alone, the country received 59 billion with a B dollars in aid. So you live in a continent where the governments and like the people there are relying on tens of billions of dollars of international aid every year to function in a third world society, essentially, too, right? Like, these people are not living incredible, prosperous lives in many areas of the continent, okay? What do you call that, okay? What is this guy, like Francis Gaito, what do you think that is, okay? You've gotten over $1 trillion from the rest of the world for infrastructure, for food, for water, for medicine, anything. Right? You don't call that handouts? You don't call that philanthropic intervention? I mean, like, if Africa wasn't dependent on philanthropic intervention, then why did 5 different countries in the continent require a fucking YouTuber to fly in and build 100 water wells to give hundreds of thousands of people clean water? Like, if Africa wasn't dependent on that help, why aren't the wells already there? Why isn't the water infrastructure already there? Why is Africa leading the world in poverty and hunger and fucking disease and whatnot, right? If it's just not dependent on anyone else's help. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't help people in Africa because, like, I mean, ultimately, I think a lot of people in Africa do need help. But to pretend like they're not getting help or they're not dependent on help is just fucking ridiculous, and it's a blatant lie. I mean, the truth of the matter is that if the world just said, fuck Africa, no more money, and they got $0 in aid for the next 30 years, tens of millions of people would probably die as a direct result of that happening. So maybe let's not go down this fucking road, buddy. Maybe let's not go down this alley. But if you think about it, the fact that this guy is the aspiring politician in Kenya, that probably says a lot about why this fucking country is in the state that it's in. I mean, if the people who are running for fucking office in your country are blatantly ignorant and just like avoiding the true issues of your society to the point where people don't even have clean water, okay? I mean, like, what can you really expect to happen, you know? When your politicians are on Twitter complaining that fucking YouTubers are doing their jobs better than them, what do you really expect? So, anyway, with that being said, man, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about the backlash to MrBeast, and signing out.